All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lavatory podcast. I have a very interesting episode today because I have a very interesting guest. I'm joined with Steve of Meketa Power Electronics. Meketa.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Steve, there's so many places I could really start with this, but I just want to get into a little bit of your background. How would you describe what you do for those just watching and getting to know you for the first time?
So the style of music, well, air quotes, is noise. And so what we call it power electronics, because there is a differentiation in between noise and power electronics. Most noise artists just go for it. They just grab a bunch of guitar pedals or random equipment and just make a racket. With power electronics, there is some structure and there's definitely vocals, and this is very vocal driven. It's pretty much the gospel to crazy racket.
Okay. Now, to somebody like me that is kind of unfamiliar with that type of genre, when you see this type of content that you make and the art that you make, it's very easy to be like, oh, this is just like some weird version of like metal and rock.
Right.
Like, how would you, describe that or differentiate from that genre? Like, is it in that category? Is it its own separate thing?
Well, last night I played with metal bands and punk bands and hardcore bands. It fits in. A lot of these new bands are even using experimental music in their sound. I mean, Sonic Youth did it in the 80s. Joy Division did it. And New Order do it. But it is different in the fact that it is more, there is, like I said, some structure, but there's zero notes. There's timing, but there's obviously no melody. You could make a melody. It's pretty much up to me and my son when he joins me, Carver, and he loves this stuff, right?
Yep.
So speaking onto that, you have a new album that, or EP that you had come up with, and I believe you said that Carver's on three tracks.
He's on all of them.
Oh snap!
He does vocals. He helps me with the sounds and everything. And it was.
I'm not on the first one.
Well, you did the music. So, we were sitting around in the house, and I go, "Would you want to be on a record?" He said, "A recording." He said, "Yeah." And I go, "We should do something cool." And we pretty much hashed it out. It's going to be about the birth, the life, the ministry, and the death and resurrection of Jesus. And he was on it. Like, well, we got to start with the manger, then we got to start with this, then we got to go to here, I'm like, what else happens? And he was right there.
Right. Now, you just touched on a big point that I wanted to like get into.
Good.
So you make like this hard, loud, very experimental music, but you just said that this project that you're working on with your son is centered around the gospel.
Yes.
Have you ever come across, resistance when it comes to trying to incorporate this style of art for, something that's considered so contemporary and more slow? And how have you managed that?
Well, when I started doing this in the 90s, I wasn't a Christian. I wasn't a Christian until 2006, until after meeting Jesus himself. Like, I almost died from cancer, and that didn't do the trick, so I had to go back in and almost died again. And then finally I said, if you're real, show up. He showed up, so I followed. There's no turning back. He's real, and that's a given. I have a dear friend who is in music, and he is in a well-established band. He's actually on the first record because I'm at work one day. I'm working at Michael's, and I look at my phone, and he's like, "Hey, I was thinking about something. You should do a power electronics band, but the gospel." And I was like, "I don't think, what? That's great." I'm at church like, man, this music kind of sucks. I wish it sounded like Black Sabbath or something, And I'm like, I could be that guy. This is great. So I started doing it. Some, because of my past, knew who I was, and they were like, because I'm in a hardcore band that's pretty well off, does pretty well. So I thought, I was kind of getting a pass, like it's just Steve and his phase, And then they started realizing, oh, he's serious. Okay. And then I would see online, like, keep Christianity out of power electronics, and stuff like that. And, the current climate, people are very confused about what Christians are. So the first thing they do is they want to talk about that. Hopefully they want to just talk about it. I've been yelled at. I've been spit on. But then once they realize there's nothing in Christianity or me that wants to do anybody any harm. I was given an opportunity to share my testimony. That's all I'm doing. It may change your mind, or you just look at me like, wow, that's weird, and walk away. But this is what's funny with this. It's the first time I've ever had to explain the power electronics side, and not the Christianity side. Most of interviews I've done with this, I'm explaining the Christianity side because most of the guys and gals are into power electronics. So this is actually pretty fun.
Okay, thank you. You had opened up so many cans of worms that I didn't want to just gloss over. First, you said you battled with cancer.
Yes.
Okay, so let's dive back into that because
man.
You're here now. You look healthy, at least to me. But I'm sure you have some backlash and all that kind of stuff you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through like where you were at with that phase and what it was like when you first got the news that you had cancer?
Well, I was living in Ohio, an angry guy for whatever reason. No, I still can't pigeonhole it. No one can. But I was playing angry music, just starting fights. I was at my height. I got up to almost 280, and just eating 4 double quarter pounders of cheese, 2 fillet of fish, bean burritos all day. I just ate fast food all the time, and I always felt gross and something was wrong. But I was like, that's everybody, I'm not. You should go to a doctor. I don't go to doctors. I didn't go to a doctor till it was almost too late, and then they just even after all, I had 2 surgeries and a heart attack. And then even after all that, they were like, you have Crohn's. And I was like, what's that? And then they explained it, and I'm like, well, that explains a lot, So I just thought it was just life, you see sitcoms, dudes, ironically, in the bathroom for 45 minutes. I thought that was normal, That's why this is great, by the way. Like, I spend most of my life in this room. So, that's growing up. I knew of the Lord. I didn't know the Lord. We weren't Catholic. We were non-denominational. We went to a church in Akron, and I was just sitting there like, how much longer? And then I got into punk, hardcore music, and I was like, okay, so I knew all that was dumb. That's not real. And again, it wasn't until I almost met him that I was like, wow, this is real. This is everything that I was told. I think the problem with early church and current churches are catching on to it. Tell the story, right? And most of them would just say, okay, you're free to go. Now pay your tuition and you're free to leave. They didn't tell you what to do. Or you're saved. What do I do? I don't know, And then you read the Bible and you go, I can't, these are superheroes. I can't keep up with these people. And then you read the Bible and you're like, well, wait, Paul was a terrorist. I check, never did that. So I'm in. So for you churches out there, teach people what to do next. So that's what I try to do with this.
Okay, heart attack. Wow. So is that where, because you had mentioned that, you were praying and asked like, hey, if you're real, show up. And he did. Was it in that heart attack moment, or is it like a specific moment where you're like, oh, I see him and this is what?
So when I came into ICU in the Cleveland Clinic, they were yelling at me, and they're like, you had a heart attack on the table. You need to start taking this serious. And I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. And so this one freaks people out. It happened. And again, I'm a hard sell. Like, I'm a very cynical person. I need to see facts, or there's no Bigfoot. I haven't run into him yet. So, I'm in the hospital every day. I'm in ICU. They would ask me if I want a newspaper. I would say no. And then I'd say, please shut my door. They wouldn't, so I'd have to get up with tubes in me and shut my own door. And it would happen every day, and it was irritating. And then one day, this guy comes in a suit that I was just like, wow, is he a hitman? Well, this is it. I'm going to get I'm going to get whacked. You know? And he was like, good morning. How are you? I'm like, I'm fine. I didn't even know it was morning. I've been in here so long. And he's like, oh, what happened? And I told him, and he goes, oh, like, can I pray for you? I was like, I guess. And he did. And I was like, cool. And he goes, would you like a Bible? And I go, yeah. And I don't know if I said yes out of like complete respect or, you know, I'm scared of this guy or just, I don't know. It just came out. So he left. I called my friend Rich, who lives in Detroit. He grew up together. He's saved. And I go, what do I do? Where do I read? He goes, anything in red. Don't read the beginning of this thing. You won't understand it. And I was like, okay, cool. So the nurse comes in. I said, hey, tell that priest, pastor, padre, whatever, thank you for this, and I'll read it. And she, okay. And I'm like, yeah, can you tell him for me? And she goes, I don't know who. He was in your room? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, you have C. diff. Was he in a gown? Did he have the suit on and everything? Because they had to suit up because I could get people sick. And I was septic and all that. And I go, no, he was in a nice, actually, pinstripe suit. He was awesome. She goes, enjoy your morphine. I'm like, I'm not on morphine. I'm on Dilaudid. And I haven't hit that pin in a while. And she goes, okay. And she walked out confused. So another one came in. And then I asked the security guard. He goes, there's nobody on this floor like that. You have to call downstairs. And it's 2 women that are on call. And they'll come up. So I don't know who he was. No one can find him. So I was like, okay, again, what do you want? You know? And I learned if you're going to ask him something and you really want an answer, you better be ready for your answer, you know, because he showed up a lot.
Wow. And so from that day forward, you kind of went on this journey of obviously like deepening your faith.
Right.
And then you said somebody has suggested that you merge the gospel with power electronics.
Yeah, his name's Dwid.
Dwid.
He's in a band called Integrity.
Shout out Dwid because now we're here.
Yeah, and he does a thing called Cyber Warfare. He's put out all my records when I first started, when in the 90s, you know, when we were kids. And he's always been my biggest supporter, and likewise. And, you know, like I said, this isn't his faith, but he sees what it did for me and what it can do for others. So that's what I love about this. Whether it does anything for you or not, you can't not feel something. You can't look at this and go, that's weird. You know, you could say it's weird, you could say it's this, but there's something there. You have to admit there's something there.
Mm-hmm. And you actually brought up a topic that I've actually talked about with myself on the podcast about, I guess, reaching different people by different means. Because you said you were in church, you're listening to regular church music, and it's dulling you, it's putting you to sleep.
Yeah. And
you wish that it came in a form of this.
Right.
Can you expand more about like your point of view on that and how people try to like restrict, I guess, Christianity, but also restrict art to just be a certain thing? Because even not about Christianity, like people might want to try to confine like rock music, experimental music, electronic music.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, separate from that. I was like, oh no, like this is like this type of style, and it can't
go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you expand more about that from your point of view and how you've like had those conversations and also overcome those hurdles?
Well, to me, art is subjective, but it's also boundless. So obviously there are rules to styles. There's rules to things, unwritten rules. I follow none of them. Oh, thank you, buddy. I don't follow them. I mean, I have them in my head, and I guess it's like a cool factor or whatever, you know, like you don't want to look like an idiot, you know, but you also want to do something that is different, that is exciting for you and the listener. And so, you know, sometimes it works. Like new metal did not work for me. When I heard it, I was like, I don't get it. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to reinvent the wheel because, you know, most art, as subjective as it is, has a dollar figure attached to it somehow. And you know, record labels are in the business of making money. And so they can't keep selling, you know, Metallica, Master of Puppets. They had to do a few, and then they got to reload. Now they're coming back around like, well, that didn't work, but it worked. But it wasn't them. You know what I mean? Because they have their own rules. And so I have my own rules, people have their own rules, and then we can easily just break them. To me, that's art. Like Jackson Pollock was the painter. If I was into painting, I'd be like, that guy's awesome. I don't know what that is. It's not a bowl of fruit. And he probably was just having a bad day and realized he had to get a painting to somebody in an hour, and he just threw some paint on it. I don't know what he was going through, but I'll tell you one thing, it's a conversation starter, you know? So that's how I look at that stuff.
Yeah, because I have a similar stance when it comes to just like language and how we communicate with one another, that it ultimately comes down to the relationship aspect. Is the relationship there for you to be able to communicate in a certain way, and understanding what type of relationship you have with the people in front of you or like with your audience kind of determines like what you're able to do with them. So like, for example, like the type of conversations, we have at work, because for those that know, me and Steve are coworkers, are very different than the ones I would have with like my grandma or,
of course,
or something like that. But that's because of an understanding of the relationship.
Right.
Because it makes me think of that passage. There's a couple passages, but I think it's in Romans somewhere where it talks about, a tongue is a two-sided sword.
Yes. Double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To either it can either defend you or it can harm you.
Oh yeah.
If not used properly. What would you say to the people that say like, oh no, like power electronic, all that kind of stuff, like it's harmful, no matter what your intentions are, and that kind of rhetoric?
I do get that, and I say, well, you got to go to the context of what is being said in that passage, and you can't just read line 21 and go, yep, knew it. Mm-hmm. They hate everybody. It's right there. Well, you have to back up about 5 verses and go, oh, I get it. Everyone is a sinner. And God can't be in a room with us. He can't be near us. He can't even acknowledge us right now because of we're foul to him, and he does not want that. So he had to have a resurrection. He had to have a lamb slaughtered, resurrected to cover us. He had to ransom us. Like it would be if, God forbid something were to happen to him, I would have to, go get him, and we're all like that. There's a song, the 99, he leaves his 99 to go get that one. We're that one. Every one of us is that valuable to him. So when people are like, oh, you're just trying to convert me, I would want nothing more than that, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Right. What I'm trying to do is share what he did for me, because if somebody didn't talk to me and tell me the truth, I would either be dead, very warm, or still doing stupid stuff and eventually going down that road. Thank God I never did drugs. I don't drink, but I was worse because I would beat people up for doing it. No one knows why. I can't give you a reason why. It was just, my parents were the nicest people on the planet, so it's not them. So that rules that out. It might just be boredom from living in Ohio. I don't know. But everything irritated me. So, God's lifting all that from me. And now I find joy in things. Like that's just reading this little thing on your wall right here life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. That's genius, and that's what I'm doing. Like people are like, oh, I should have done something like that. Do it. Or don't bellyache about doing it. Just get into it, So that's what that is.
Wow, that is amazing. How do you feel like, or since you mentioned your son being on the album, I wanted to get back around to that.
Right.
Even though you had given me so much to work with, how do you feel like you navigate, explaining like these concepts in your parenting style? Like, hey, this is like a positive way to channel something that is like, I guess by its nature, aggressive and just very like passion forward. do you feel like you've had to like have those conversations about like, hey man, like if you're gonna get into this, like there is like a more positive way to kind of channel some of these emotions and like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, well, I mean, I've had a lot of, like, just last night, these two young people came up to me and were very responsive. They were very like, wow, you know, I never wanted to go to church or any of that stuff. I don't even know what I believe, but thank you, you know? So, and to get people involved in what I'm doing, and even Carver, like, I think he enjoys the sound, you know, the intensity, and he also loves the Lord, which is awesome for a 9-year-old. That's you as a dad. I'm just like, yeah, I win. But for people just getting into it, you almost have to come into it like a 9-year-old with the eyes of a child. Like, I'm here to learn, and hopefully it works. If it doesn't, what did I lose? Nothing. So,
yeah,
you didn't spend any money. If there's no God, what'd you lose? You have everything to win, though. So
yeah. And you had given me a gift. I actually want to grab that right now and kind of talk about that. Let me just grab that real quick.
cool. Right? Yeah, you're right. If there's no God, there's nothing. You're a smart little man.
Okay.
There's more. I have a lot of releases out. He's on the one, and this just came out. It's a year old, but it's so Dwid he did all the sound. I did the vocals, and it's just I love it. Absolutely love it.
Amazing. So what are we looking at here?
12-inch record called Meketa Power Electronics on Dark Empire Records, and couldn't be more proud of it. It's just, to get vinyl out in this day and age is very hard to do, and so cool.
And you said that you worked on this with Carver here.
No, this is with Dwid.
This was with Dwid. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Off of this one, is there a specific song that kind of speaks to you?
Absolutely. There's two. Surgery, because it's about what I had to go through to get to where I am, and We All Bleed Red.
Okay, can you talk about some of the inspiration behind that one and what that means?
Oh, absolutely. Just hearing stories of horrible stories of racism, hate, bigotry. We are created in God's image, and so people who are novice or sarcastic to Christianity, like, oh, so we all look alike? No. Clearly, we don't look alike. And clearly, we're not all the same. We all have our own makeups. We all have our own desires, our own bloodlines that trickle down to who we are. Like, I'm pieces of whoever, you know, my parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, you know, however far back that went. So obviously, I'm not, you know, that's not all God. That's not all what God looked like, a bunch of random Russian people and Germans. But what is the same is the inside, the soul, the spirit. That's the image. We are pure. We were made pure. When he was born, he was perfect because he didn't know what I know, what you know. He didn't see traffic. He didn't hear horns. He didn't experience carbon monoxide. He didn't experience the guy cutting him off. He didn't experience somebody being nice to him. He hasn't gotten that way. He knew warm area to sleep, cold. Why am I here? Oh, what's this? This is a very nice, soft place to live, and I'm going to lay here and then cry when I'm hungry. He knew that. And that's what we need. We need to search for that. We need to search for comfort. We need to search for joy, and we need to search for peace. That's a child. We need to approach this as a child. Unfortunately, taxes, people, and that's why I wrote We All Bleed Red. We have to get back to remembering we are God's children. He created us to be better than we are, and we're not doing a great job.
You hear that, Carver? It's just all downhill from here.
It gets terrible.
That's pretty much all it means.
Yeah, it gets weird. But with the Lord, you might be able to.
It's going to be in a while.
There you go. You got time, son. Plenty of Minecraft to play.
There you go. Now, I wanted to kind of explore more of like your writing process. Like, how do you come up with these songs? How do you develop the sound for each, track? And when do you know something is completed? Especially in something so experimental, like how do you get from start to finish on, let's say, making
Any kind of release or
Right.
something. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are rules. Each artist has rules, and I have my own. The lyrics are most important. Like, and the concept is most important. Like, I always have to have, well, what's this about, And is it gonna be? Because I have another CD that just came out. The label's in Germany, and it's called "It Is Well with My Soul." And I actually kind of, it is well. I can't sing, but I did it to like a weird ambient, like distorted sound. That's what it called for. I mean, it didn't call for hollering. It didn't call for spoken word. It called for a little melody, but I'm very anti-melody. I can't play a note. I'm tone deaf. So I wanted it to be that. When I think of power electronics, I think of horror movie music just coming at you. But this is horror movie music with Jesus.
Fair enough. So do you spend a lot of time writing and to come up with these lyrics, and how do you kind of get those compositions developed?
I would say it's my worship. So all day, I in my brain, I'm like, what can I do next? How can I do this? How can I honor you? What do you need from me today? Like, who needs impacted? Is it just is this for me to get it out, for him to get it out, for somebody helping me collab? Or is it for the listener? Is it for you? What's it for? But I know it's for him. If it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't do this.
Wow. That is so interesting. Do you feel like you get those kind of like shocked faces when you go out and perform in some of these places where people are kind of expecting, something more familiar, what they're more familiar with, and how have those like conversations like been like once you realize, oh, like this is talking about something that I wouldn't think is associated. You had
Right.
mentioned a story earlier, but I'm sure you have more of those.
Oh yeah. Well, the history of power electronics is pretty subversive. It is a very underground, really dark topics. Sometimes borderlining on like even Chris Hansen from Dateline would go, that's too much. That's gross. So to hear the gospel using power electronics is probably to some people like, which is a weird term, blasphemy. Like, what are you doing? But it's my favorite kind of music, and this is my savior. That's what's happening. And I used to listen to Howard Stern all the time. I don't anymore, but I used to listen to him all the time. And he would say, if you don't like it, you don't have to listen. And that is with everything. That's with politics. Turn it off. That's with religion. Turn it off. But everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever, and they have the internet. So now we hear their opinions 8 seconds after something is to happen. So as an artist, that could be a win, but generally it's not.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I think that's like part of the heart behind like the lavatory, when I do here, is just this idea to seek authenticity and to bring different elements together that make up me, but also keep, I guess that core part of me, which is also my faith in God, at the center. So whatever I do is just like, I'm trying to create like a space for just transparency.
You can't get more transparent than a bathroom.
No, you
Like,
can't.
this is like, this is where real business happens. Like,
The microphone's amazing.
most people talk in here. We can do that while doing that. When I saw what you were doing, I was like, that's absolutely genius. That's one of those things when you see something like that, you're like, why didn't I think of that? You know, like it's genius. This is genius. And
Okay.
if anybody takes this, I'll hunt you down because this is his. This is his and his only. This is phenomenal. It's priceless.
We're taking it.
We're going to use it.
Fair enough.
We're very broke. No, just kidding.
Fair enough. Now, it's funny that you mentioned that because, like, I appreciate your compliment. Thank you.
Oh, it's amazing.
And even then, it's still so hard for me to like accept that this is, you know, I wish sometimes I could see it the way other people see it, and how I've had like compliments and people like talk about the innovation of this, because at the end of the day, like I sleep, you know, 2 feet that way, and then I actually do use this bathroom over here, so it's like
Awesome.
I don't even I just can't. It's hard for me to fathom that. I want to know if you've experienced that too when it comes to like power electronics and trying to, you know, pursue that. Like, have you ever felt like doubt of like, I don't know if this is like what I should be doing?
All the time. Oh, all the time. Like, you know, when you show up to a show and nobody's there, you're like, is this even worth it? And then I don't know if this happens to you, but I get this voice in my head. Are you praising me? Yes. Worth it. Stop asking. You know, it's not about the numbers, dude. It's not about your bank account. It's not about the likes, the thumbs. It's about your heart, you know? And if I were trying to make money, this is the worst avenue I've ever could have gone down. This is, I mean, selling water to a fish would be more lucrative, you know, that's surviving in an ocean. This is all about ministry for me. If it ever becomes profitable, thank you. But if not, thank you. You know, like it's all about him, and it's all about, you know, being a mentor. It's all about being a positive role model for my son. He could easily go start doing this stuff, but just MF everybody and, you know, graphic pictures of disgustingness, and I'd pray for him, you know? But my goal is that never happens, and he gets to lead, you know, others down this small road, you know, but it's a road, you know. It's like when hip hop guys first started doing Christian hip hop, they were hated, absolutely hated, but now it's huge, you know, like Striper, still not good, but I mean, when they came out, it was like, what are you doing? This stuff isn't for you. This is a Hollywood strip, man. We're supposed to be getting girls, and you're over here talking about the Lord. What are you doing? Now I was like, as bad as their music is, that's awesome. If they could just do it like Slayer, I'd be in, you know, and they could, no one could, you know? So hopefully I can, you know?
Yeah. That's amazing. 'Cause you did mention that this is a different project.
Yeah, this is the same band, same project, but this is a different release. This is the one Carver's on.
Gotcha.
And this is the life of this is the Jesus story through the eyes of a child. My son and daughter ask the most interesting questions, but they're not like 9-year-old or 12-year-old questions. They're very astute, and I don't come from my side. The wife's very smart. I do my thing, but so half the time I'm like, would I want to ask the pastor that or just pray about it? I don't know. But when we came up with this, and he had some really cool concepts from Jesus's life, birth to his death to his resurrection, and the ministry in the middle, like 30 years. That's amazing, you know. Like he was 30 years old, and then he starts his ministry. You know. Mm-hmm. He knows that. I had to look it up. You know? Oh yeah, you're right. It's just phenomenal. So with him, because he does vocals and he helps him with the sound and stuff, which he'll do tonight.
Oh snap!
Yeah, it's just cool, you know. And if he tells his little buddies at school, they'll be like, "What? Wait, what do you do?" And then I'll just look, kid, you make things out of blocks on it, you know.
Yeah.
Minecraft. But yeah, it's awesome, you know. Okay. I don't think my daughter really wants anything to do with it, but
fair enough. You can't get them all.
We're no Taylor Swift.
Fair enough. Now, do you have a favorite album or a favorite project that you worked on when it comes to this project?
I think either the tomb or in a tomb. I can't remember which one it is. It's the one that looks like gibberish.
Yeah,
Yep,
the tomb. we wrote it fast. Did you like that one? That's a good
favorite.
one.
Okay. Are you guys gonna be performing something from this?
I think we're just gonna do a whole. We want to do one that's just kind of spirit led tonight.
Okay.
We just want to do something that is kind of free form, but we, spirit led. And we're just gonna see how it goes, right?
Okay. Well, that's gonna be for a later time, because I did have a couple more things I wanted to get into.
Cool.
Especially since Carver's here. Now I don't have any kids yet. Yet, but parenthood and just family dynamics is something I've always been interested in, so that I'm just more prepared when it comes to that kind of thing. And especially since we're both creatives and we're doing experimental things.
Love it.
Like how did you feel when Carver said, "Oh, I want to try this out," kind of walk me through those emotions you were going through with that one.
Well, it's a great thing because he's named after carving a skateboard. I skate, and so he likes it, but it wasn't how when a dad lives vicariously through his kid, like the football dad, oh, you're going to college and then you're going to go to the NFL. He liked it, but it wasn't it's not his favorite thing, right? Skateboarding.
No, I don't really like it.
But this is a huge part of my life, experimental music. And when he's like, I would love to do that, I was like, really? And then there's half me like, are you joking? Are you serious? You really want to do this? And Dad, can we record tonight? Can we record tonight? Can we record? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And we haven't for a while, but we have to. But I get lazy. But you can nod. Just tired. But yeah, he gets really into it. And it gets me really into it. And I just want to, it's just awesome. He's a good little dude.
Because I feel like some people, they, either choose their art or choose their family when it comes to whatever they do.
Right.
And you always kind of see that in movies that oh, to be great, you got to sacrifice everything and dive straight into that. How would you you combated that and, kind of maintain what you're able to do, but also be a father and president? I mean, obviously you're president because you brought your kid here. Right.
Well, that term blessed is overused by, it's, it's almost become essential worker, during COVID, that's all I ever heard. But I am truly blessed. My wife is awesome. She's a creative. She owns her own crafting business. So she's always creating. My daughter likes to do little creative things, and she's now getting into makeups and stuff like that. So hasn't really been a need to separate, hey, I'm going to go do this and then I'll come back and be dad. And she hasn't really, hey, I'm going to go make this and then I'll come back and be mom. We just divvy up our time, because there's work, and then there's church, there's this, there's that, there's take them to school, pick them up. So it's not every day. I really haven't had to sacrifice too much, So it's last night, he really wanted to come, but it was 21 and over. And I was like, oh, what if I sneak him in? And he's just really short. Here's some vodka. But it would, obviously not going to happen. So he had to sit it out. Megan had to be mom, run him around town, It's Friday night. What are we going to do? Mom's going to just worked all day. Now I got another job. Keep these kids up. Then in bed, then brush their teeth. So we trade off. So that's you'll do it. Yeah. You'll find what works.
So you're saying what it sounds like is it's not really that hard. It's just more this is what you want to do. So you make it work.
Yeah. Like my wife will say, we'll make it work. I love that. Mm-hmm. I'm the more worry word on that. Are you sure? We'll make it work. And my other band, Apartment 213, we played in Oxnard, and I brought him to a punk show in the backyard of some dude's house. At the time, you were 9, and my daughter's just...
I was 8.
I'm sorry, 8. And you're just watching, and what my guitar player said was phenomenal. He goes, imagine in 10 to 15 years, somebody will be talking about this, and your daughter and son are like, we were there. My dad's was in that band or is in that band, you know? And it'll just how like stories. Like I remember I saw Sam Hain, Danzig's second band in Detroit, Michigan when I was a kid. And people are talking about it. I'm like, I was there. They look at you like you're crazy. I'm like, no, my brother's friend took me to that. And it changed everything. Like I thought Dolly Parton was cool until I saw this, you know, and then, whoa, there's punk, you know? Mm-hmm. So these little life.
Is Dolly Parton?
Exactly. No one knows, buddy. No one knows. There's little things that like happen that change the trajectory of everything, good or bad. You know, somebody can say, hey, try this. That can take you far that way. The good news is we can say yes or no.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, you know, it's been such a pleasure having you on, Steve.
Oh man, this is awesome.
For those just out there, you know, who I don't know why they would just jump to this portion of the conversation, but I just love being able to just have people like you on and you know, thank you for not being too cool for school to come perform.
I'm not,
you know,
cool for anything, let alone school. They didn't like me.
Right.
He likes school. I don't. You love it.
But it's so easy for, you know, people from the outside looking in to like see us and think, oh, like what the heck could the two of them been like working on together or collaborating? Right. Because we just look so different.
Right.
But that's what I just love about kind of what you touched on earlier on the Meketa project about Everyone Bleeds is that faith or our faith in Christ is what unites us. Amen. Regardless of what you look like. And so, you know, yeah, like I just wanted to touch on that too when it comes to like the lavatory, that this is a place for anybody to come and do what they do, and as long as they're willing to be honest and transparent and yeah, just be themselves, then stuff like this can happen.
Oh yeah. And you know, looking at previous guests, anybody would be like, what's this guy? Dude, you know, some of your fans will be like, what is that? You know? And some might go, that's kind of cool. You know, we don't know, you know, we don't know what, you know, like that's what I like about art. That's what I love about it. You have a choice to go, that's awesome, or nope. You know, it's the people that browbeat the no that I get it. It's not your thing. Just find your thing, you know. Apparently your thing is to make fun of things, you know. So, but I don't think you'll have that. I've watched all that you've done, and I'm like, that's great. That's fantastic. And it's in a bathroom, dude.
Yeah, you surprised what we can accomplish in here.
You should be surprised what I can accomplish in here.
Right. So for those who are fans of Steven, what he does, and you're following from his fan base, welcome, you know, to the lavatory.
And welcome to
anybody is welcome here. So I think with that, we're good to just kind of jump into what you do.
I love it.
All right.
You ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice.